Hey YouTube, thanks for being here today. We're going to look at FFF Factorio Friday Facts number 341 and then look at this week in Reddit. We're going to go over some of the weekly questions thread in Reddit. If you like this sort of thing, hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell so you can get notified when I post a new video. If you have a question or a comment, leave it in the comment section below. All the links to everything I talk about will be in the description below also. Or if you have a question, you want to just come by and say hi, we do this every Friday night live. Twitch.tv/Clowntown. Links are up there in description. Thank you very much for your support. And with that, let's get to it. All right. Hey, Friday Facts 341, audio, artillery, and attenuation. Apparently, the Czech Republic does know about alliteration. Ian and Val. Ian says, sound design update. They've been coming a long way for sound design. One advantage, switching to home working during the COVID-19 crisis, is the ability to listen to the game using speakers rather than headphones. Yes. Yes, right? And this has proved useful in balancing the relative levels of the game. That's great. What is the I wonder if they took a customer survey. And I mean, that would be interesting to know how many of my Factorian players do headphones versus earbuds. Or headphones, earbuds, or speakers, right? These type. Or they do earbuds. That'd be interesting data. Val has also been getting to grips with Lua, and this has led him to working on attenuations, which have proved problematic. For instance, we noticed that sounds such as the radar were getting cut off when you walked away from them, rather than fading out cleanly. Rockets. When I launched my 3,500 rockets, as soon as I walked away from the first batch of rockets, they were cut off. But that was an extreme case, because I launched 3,000 of them at the same time. Soundbar is another one. I investigated and discovered we had a maximum environment sound limit of 15. Oh. By raising this to 50, we've eliminated some of these problems, but then the downside is that there are no more sounds playing and therefore more clutter and mixed to balance. Yes. I wonder if what is the hit on CPU is on this, right? Because... Oh. Pink squares indicates which sounds are active. Left, limit of 15 nearby sounds. Right, limit of 50. Oh, yeah, there's a lot more to attenuate, right? So I had, in my little sector, I had 170 rockets going on at once. So I would still probably hit that limit of 50, even if they bumped it to 50. Okay. So that's interesting to show that what's included and what's not, because I suppose if you're in the center, where's the player character? Maybe we'll assume the player character is right here. And on one side, you get just this little clump of 15 things. On the other side, you get, I mean, even a big circle all the way out here to listen to all the stuff, right? Cool. RSED has been working through the list of sound design programming tasks. For instance, we finally have the sound for artillery turret rotation. Oh, integrated the game. It was featured in FFF. Oh, let's hear it. So the artillery is one of the baddest sounds in the game. It is baddest, and I mean awesome. It is so good. It's one of the highlights. It's one of the best ones that were updated in the latest wave of sound design. Listen. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Listen to the rotation again. Nice. That's really good. That's some Doom level bullet sounds. I agree. That's awesome. In other news, we've updated concept for the transport belts. We listened to feedback from the community. The concept for transport belts. And we're still a bit too present and annoying. Oh, the sounds. Okay, good. The idea of new sounds will drift into the distance a bit more and become unnoticed until you try to fall asleep. More fun sounds include water splashes, electric and laser beams. Ooh, I'm interested in that. More powerful weapons such as a gun turret and vehicle machine gun, and our old robot sounds have come back as additions. Robot sounds. If all goes to plan, we'll merge sound changes into a master very soon. And once we've done our pre-release checks, release it to the 18 experimental. After that, I plan to spend some time on UI sounds, balancing the overall levels to get them more in line with the other game, which is trickier than normal given the lack of audio middleware. However, we have also made some changes default sound settings to move us in the right direction. Well, good. Some of initially the sounds, they did a mix of, they had a big release of sounds. I think it was Ian. And they had some hits and misses. Some of the hits were the rocket sounded way better. Artillery sounded way better. I want to say the attenuation was better as you walked from one to another. This is another fix on that. But what was really bad was the machine. The machines were kind of annoying now, and the inserters went way annoying. Everywhere you walked, and they were not balanced. So whatever else was going on, if there was an inserter going near you, it was completely overpowering and super annoying. And I had to drag the sound bar down in early 18. That has since been a little attenuated, so that's good. But those sounds were pretty rough. Big miss. Attenuation. Lately, Ian and I were occupied with mixing of sound and attenuation of the game. Good. Is a great attenuation of the sound is a great tool for mixing a game. Using it can make the sounds more located. Take a central certain place. You can clearly hear what an object you are passing by, and sounds don't overlap each other as much. Okay. Another bonus is that reaching an object won't shock you with the full volume of its sound as audible distances ramps up in volume. Right. All that brings you a cleaner mix of everything you hear in the game. While checking the offshore pump, I noticed that pipes produce a small part of their loop when I walk near them, even if there is no water flow inside. Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's listen to this. So even these empty ones, even the empty pipes made whooshing sounds. Let's do it again. Oh yeah, they made little bits. Okay. The pipe is making a sound even though no fluid is flowing. Arstead told me it must be a conflict of the entity working sound in combination with the max sounds per type we use to limit the number of certain type sounds playing at the same time. After thinking a while, I decided to remove the max sounds per type and add an audible distance modifier with a very small value for pipes. I tested that, and for my happiness, it worked well in this case. The fluid is not flowing. They're not empty, but the fluid is not flowing. Okay. There are probably another 100 little issues like this in sound design. It's not simple as placing all the audio samples, and we're getting there. This is also why your feedback and bug reports or sound changes are extremely useful to us, as we need to take care of as many errors as we can prior to 1.0. Well done. This is good. The artillery is absolutely my favorite. Badass. It's badass, man. I'm going to tell you. All right. That's it for the FFF 341. So let's take a look at Reddit. All right. This is the weekly question thread in r/Factorio on Reddit for April 3rd, 2020. And we'll get started. Just go down and read a few of these questions. Sasuke Raikage asks, is there a .18 balancer out that balances both sides of a single belt? I'm not sure what you mean by .18 balancer. Me either, n/A. Balancers haven't really needed to change for a long time. I suppose you could. So there's a book of balancers that go from kind of 2.2 to 2.3 all the way up to 8.8 balancer that's kind of floating around through the Factorio community. I'm sure you could go get it. There's the balancer mechanics and lane balancers. See, so n/A talks about it. Once they added in the splitter priority, right, where you could put priority and output priority and input priority on splitters, I think that I've always postulated that many of those books can be updated now. That before we had to, the loopbacks that we needed through assumed 50% split, but I bet if some crazy math magician wants to go through the old book, I bet you they could probably remove some of the splitters that they have for that belt, that blueprint book, and make it a little bit more lean. But I'm no mathologist, so I probably won't need to do that. All right, Ginger with freckles. I assume he means someone with red hair. Now I'm trying to think of a ginger with no freckles. Is there such a thing? I don't know that I've met one without. Asks, I was building quite a base, working towards 200 science per minute. Oh, I thought you were a serious player. Just kidding. And I tried making multiple stations with the same name. I connected a wire to the crates and set up stations, disable, depending on the amount of content. Good. Or when all stations are saturated, the trains just stop, no path. Love to find a solution without depending on mods. There's a way to solve the issue of no path. Name them differently. Or am I really restricted to having dedicated trains for dedicated stations? I got it. You can't have your source and your destination with same things being toggled off, because at some point they'll both be toggled off and your train will be stuck. The use case that we have is fuel station supply and fuel station destination, right? So this is like a fuel depot type of thing where the supply side of fuel is always on, and then if the fuel is full, shut off the train, because you don't want a train to go and supply it there. But as soon as it empties out, you put the thing to say enable the trains once the fuel is empty, and then the supply chain will go to it. Even if there's 10 of them out there, it'll just go from one to one to one to one to the next one, the next one, the next one. I think what Ginger with Freckles' problem is that he's got both the supply side and the destination side being toggled on and off, and which is dangerous. The other option is to do what Steely Gold Chat mentioned, is build an interim depot, or a parker, like I like to call it, where if a train has nowhere else to go, you send it to a temporary station until one kicks on. So you'll have 3 stations, a supply, a parker, and a destination. right? And if these two are going on and off, the middle one will if either of these, both of these shut off for some reason because the content, whatever the condition is to triggered, you send it to this middle one as a temporary measure. And maybe you have your refill or your fuel, your fuel there, which is a very common one. A lot of trains will always do you're either at the station, the supply side, the station, the supply side, the demand side, or at the fuel depot. And every time you make a big a trip, you stop through the fuel depot and pick up some fuel before you go around. 10 seconds of inactivity or something. Go there, stop here for 10 seconds of inactivity while they load up your train with fuel, and then you move on. Fuel depot is a big use case. Otherwise, for mods, HTN, LTN, Hafala's Trains Network, or LTN, Logistics Trains Network. That's likely what Ginger with Freckles' problem is. Slice Bigfoot asks, is there a setting to allow blueprints to set recipes differently on different machines? For example, I have a mall blueprint that I use that has assembly machine 1s. If I have assembly machine 2, I want the recipe set to it. No. Not pre-bought. Upgrade planner, you can do it inside your blueprint. You can do it inside, but not... the answer to this question is no. Not that I can think of. Vandalize says, super new to the game. Started the tutorial last night. 4 hours in, the second base you move to after the attack. Is this a tutorial in the traditional sense, or is it more something you have to do to learn how to play? It seems to be guiding me pretty far. The answer is neither. Start up free play and go. Shut biters off and start planning. That tutorial is balls and very confusing. Yes. This is the greatest question ever. This is the greatest question ever. All right. What is this? What is this tutorial? Kazinga100 asks, I am super fresh to the game. Good. I just managed to get me some green science juice. It's a rare thing to have people call them juice. Most people call them potions or packs or whatever. But I already see resources depleted fast. Example, copper. How is this the late game? Is resource scarcity a thing to worry about? Yep, it is. I have to be conscious of how much I spend in the various resources. Hey, no one's replied to... Oh, yeah, they have. Oh, yeah, upvote. Keep forgetting to upvote these. Yes. The farther you go, it is meant to... You're meant to burn down your resources in the base. Balance out what you need. So don't make a ton of circuit boards when you don't need them. That's a number one consumer of copper is your circuit boards. Or don't sink it too much into red science when you're not going to need that much red science right now, because then you're taking away from the boards that you do need. But yeah, you're supposed to deplete your starting area resources and go explore and exploit the planet. So yeah, and also the farther you go out from the starting area, the bigger the ore patches get. So then you start making decisions about, okay, do I want to train out there? Do I just have the bots go get them once I get to bots? Do I have to fight for if I have a copper patch to the east over here and a copper patch to the west over here, but this one has biters and this one doesn't? But this one's bigger. So do I fight my way through biters to get a bigger reward, or do I just go get the easy one first and then hope that I can get them quickly before these biters evolve and kick my butt, right? Yep. Yeah, these are all great questions because Inga's asking the right questions. Resource scarcity is a thing to worry about, right? You can always go crank up the resources on your starting match if you starting map. If you start over, don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to undo everything. But all of that is he's asking the right questions. That's really good. Starter ore patches are pretty small and you will run out. Yes. If it's real, says, can someone help me understand fluid flow speed? Oh, man. Fluid dynamics are very complex, and use the Factorio cheat sheet to make long pipes, and then every so often, which I think is 16 undergrounds, if I remember correctly, but check the cheat sheet. It could be mistaken. Have a pump and a tank to catch it, and then push it on. Yeah, so have a tank and a pump every little bit along the way. So, second question, how do people deal with refueling trains? We just talked about that. I get that solid fuel is a long-term best. I can understand that basically of a two-track network, but I can't figure out how to keep a fuel at each stop. Hey, there we go. All right, on the way to do a refueling trains, I'm going to put a link to one of my other videos down in the description, and I'll get you to go and check that out. There'll be two options on how to do a refueling train. That's the second time this question's come up, so there's probably a need for it. So let's do that. I'll put that link in the description below. Yep. Prince 1989. Like the Prince? Thought he died. Usually I can play my saves on several PCs using the Steam Cloud. With Factorio, however, I tried this and the save was there. I lacked several blueprints. You have to take the two halves of the blueprint library behave very differently. There are in-game blueprints, but there's not. But you need to put it into your blueprint library. It's my blueprints. There's game blueprints and my blueprints. Make sure that you put any one you want to reuse forever and ever. Put that in my blueprints, so you can get it every. You can get it in your other games. And the blueprint is local memory, right? The right side is global, and you can use them in all your saves, etc. Right? It's app data roaming Factorio blueprints. Good question. Make sure you put them in my global blueprints. You can use them across saves. Shine_on says, can I install the experimental version side by side with stable version? I think you can. You can probably get a Steam version and the Factorio.com version and do it. Might cost you double. Yeah, you can do it. Tanith likes trains. Well, upvote for you, Tanith. Since the belt immunity module is one tile, that leaves an empty space in the equipment grid that can only be filled with a single solar panel. Yet the night vision goggles take up 4 squares, making it as big as the shields in the Roboport, just a bit smaller exoskeleton. The question is, can the night vision goggles be made smaller? The answer is yes. The second question is, will the night vision goggles be made smaller? The answer is no. Michael Nelson says, how do I set rail signals here? Ooh, I like these sorts of questions. Okay, first off, you clear these trees so you can see what the hell's going on. No one can see what's going on here. Change signal before. Change signal. Signal. Coming back around. Change signal going in. Rail signal coming back out this way. This is dangerous because it's only one way in, one way out. Yeah, it's a two-way rail. Oh no, wait, it is. See, that's why you clear the trees. That's why you clear the trees, is because you can't see what the hell's going on here. Now clear these damn trees. There is a second rail. And I can't zoom in any farther than this. All right. Well, Michael Nelson, I should downvote you because you clear those trees. Rain does the same thing. Rain 9441, he leaves trees everywhere and you can't see what the hell's going on. You can't see signals. You can't see if a train's stuck there. I couldn't even see there's a second rail. So many trees. Kuadon says, trying to clean up my train signals as I feel like I've put down too many. No such thing. My trains run fairly simple routes. Everything is done A, B, A, loop. Though a lot of them have shared portions of rail. No. For a Y-shaped merge, I'll end up using 3 signals. Yep, one on each leg as a merge. And right after that, splits get the opposite treatment. At each station, I put 2 signals, one right after the station. Okay, one right behind. A little over full train length. Good. I feel like this number can be trimmed down. Does it really matter? Nah. What you've described is minimum signaling. I agree. Kudon, you're doing great. Mycroft, I agree with that. He's good. You're doing it right. Okay, I'll take that back. There are crazy people like my buddy Elric, my buddy Deuces. I don't know that Xterm did it this way. A couple other folks who have done a signalless train system, and it's all just crackerjack timing, and that's it. You can be crazy and try and cut down on all the signals. It is possible, but that's the base. It no longer becomes about launching a rocket. It becomes about eliminating signals. You can do it, but it's insane. You've had Arced tell me it's your fault, not Factorio's, and use too many signals. Arced's a real big fan of telling players how to play his game. Auntie and Arced's discussions go so. Auntie gets so mad he can't even see straight, and Arced is telling him how to play, explaining to him how to play Factorio, and Auntie's still pounding on the counterpoint, saying, "Don't tell me how to play the game. Once you fix your game," they get so mad. Gets so mad he can't even see straight. It's hilarious. Eel Pie says, "Is there a mod that destroys my entire factory for me? Destroying it manually with weapons or waiting for my construction robots to remove everything is tedious." Yes. Creative mod. Put a bunch of nukes in your inventory. Go sick. Unleaded says, "Do you guys rebuild your entire base once you unlock robotics?" Yes. I'm still on my first base, so I've learned a lot since I started. I feel like before progress further, I need to clean up the mess that is my base. Yes. I feel like that now I can cut and paste and auto-build blueprints. It will be way easier to get things done looking nice without having to spend eternity placing everything by hand. Yes. Factorio is one of those games where you should never be afraid to undo what you have done. If it can be done, it can be undone, with the exception of landfill. So pick it up, put it back down. Yes, do it. Point of order: make a bunch of trash space, yellow chests, before you have your bots pick it all up, because you're going to miss something, and there's going to be just piles and piles and piles of excess copper and iron and ore and everything that you're going to need to deal with. Yes, undo it and redo it. Orange Mars 2000. I really just don't understand train unloading and loading. It's not my usual this hard problem. How do I solve it? Just what is the problem I'm trying to solve? I've watched so many training station tutorials, and it's like they presuppose knowledge of the super obvious thing they're trying to fix. Why? What makes X station more efficient than Y station? Why can't I just spam green inserters and chests and be done? Why does balancing matter? Is balancing even what I think it is? Those are great questions. Would love any good resources on this, or a quick Eli 5. What is an Eli 5? 150 hours in, so I'm really just an idiot. Aren't we all, man? Hey, I love this guy. Orange Mars, I'm a fan. Honestly, just build your stations however you want to when you run into issues. Yes. Dragon Tamer asks a bunch, or says a bunch of stuff. The goal is, well, okay, so a couple general principles without turning it into a rail tutorial. General principles is you want to unload and load as fast as possible to get the next train in, or to get supplies to whatever you're trying to deal with it as quickly as possible. But you want your train to pull up, offload, and go for your next batch. So things like waiting to offload are usually inefficient. Things like not having enough of a buffer chest outside the train to hold whatever it just offloaded is bad. That's why you want a buffer chest. You want to basically want the train to spend time training and not waiting, right? Eli 5, explain like I'm 5. Well, today I learned. And I would just say that you want, and especially if you have several trains waiting to unload or waiting to load up, you want to get them in and get them out of there, right? So that's why chests are very important, and that's kind of why balancing is important, because balancing a belt, if you just use an inserter, goes to a belt, goes to another inserter, it's probably only going to have one half of the belt full. If you balance that belt, the inserter on the supply side can fill up the belt, and move more material from this side to this side, right? The belt acts as a chest of acts as its own inventory. So that's kind of what belt balancing does, is it loads up the belt and you have inventory on the belt rather than you're waiting for it to transport from way down here all the way down, right? TIL, Eli 5. Any ideas when 18 will go stable? Nope. Iron Toes says, what are the best practices to use for in the different modules? I've started putting efficiencies on my miners. This is a parody account. This is definitely a parody account. Iron Toes, you're not wrong in using however you want to run it. Factorio is your game. First off, I'm proud of you for asking the question. I'm just messing with you, laughing at efficiencies. Okay, kind of the rule of thumb is that no one uses efficiencies except as recipes and other in other builds. The rule of thumb is productivity where possible. If not productivity, then speed. And if not speed, then add another beacon and put some more speed around it. The only time you want to use efficiency modules if you're really hurting on power, you could probably get that down, or pollution if you're playing a scenario where biters are a big concern. Something like Death World or something or a scenario where you can have time is not a consideration. You can wait them out, but you just can't pollute them out, right? It's not a usually the conventional wisdom is let's production module up and speed up so that I can out-tech the biters and just wipe them out. That's conventional wisdom. If you're not ready to do that, then sure, throw in some efficiency modules. Techman123 asks, yoink, would anyone be able to tell me why there's a server crashes when it rolls from save 8 hours ago instead of one that happens every 5 to 10 minutes? No. Hullabaloo says, so, my base is massive. Hey, big boy. My logistic network hates me. Of my 300K bots, about 50 to 70K are active at any given moment, just moving stuff around my core base. My frame rate also hates me. If this, my computer limiting my process is this my computer limiting the process or the game? I've got a solid machine, so I feel like the game itself is at its limit. Yes. Holy crap. 50K bots in the same network at once? Yeah. That's insane. In the same network. Now, having several 100K bots in the air in different networks, not so bad. That may be standard fare on a gigabase. So you got to split those networks up. You got to split those networks up into smaller ones. That'll help out a lot. Also, there's lots of good stuff to do for UPS to reduce UPS. The end game in Factorio. The end game. If you keep building past the rocket, the end game is not the biters, it's not resources, it's not obstacles on the map. The end game boss in Factorio is your computer. At some point, your factory will be just too big to run on your computer, and then you'll have to start over. That's the end boss. So, the end boss is that, therefore, it means that the end boss is different for you and for me. Yeah, this. So when I read this, I bet you he says my logistic network singular means he probably has one network, is in a massive base, and they're probably all flying around the same one. You gotta split those up. Hand Eye Protege says, any tips on a macro-based design? My first playthrough, aside from fiddling with the game back in alpha, so I'm sure do things more clearly. I'm interested in others' thoughts. How much and where should I leave space in between sections of the factory? How much do you end up tearing down and rebuilding stuff as your factory evolves and ramp up production? A bunch. Tear down and pull up. Tear down, pull up. Undo and redo. That's it's evolution is the name of the game for Factorio. Conventional wisdom is have kind of a smelting area, a production area, a circuits area, a bots area, a science area. That usually tends to work for folks. Also helps you get your head around what sections you can modularize it. When you need to, when you have an improvement, you can tear down a section and re-put it down, right? Also, when your starting area runs out of smelting, you can pick up your smelting and kill it and move your smelting to your outpost so that you're trucking in copper plates and you're trucking in iron plates and you're trucking in stone bricks. You're no longer smelting stone bricks, copper, or iron plates. Okay. Do you just shuttle raw materials around and build an entire production chain in one spot, or do you centralize production of common things and distribute them? Usually, it's distributed. So, in the example that I just showed, where it was, I move smelting off of the center, used to be only smelting on main base, so I may have 4 lines of copper smelting going on as my starter area of copper copper runs out. Then I may find an outpost way out there. I'm going to train all the way out there, and then I'm going to put my copper smelting way out there because I don't really need copper ore in my base for anything. Now, iron ore is different. You may need some iron ore in your base, so you may run a train inward for iron plate, but you also may run a train in for iron ore because you need iron ore for concrete, right? But you still have no more iron smelting in your base. Also, one other thought before I move on to the next question. If you find an iron patch and a copper ore patch together, you may add smelting and green circuit manufacturing all together and then use a train to pull in green circuits. And those two, you do it all on site and you truck in green circuits to multiple places. So you may have one big green circuit factory. Anytime you find green and anytime you find copper and iron together, you may have several patches of those together on the map. Go ahead and make that a green circuit factory. Right? But it also becomes how quickly you can outpost. This is a great question. GG371. For a 2K science per minute base, how many research labs would I need? I see the number varies wildly. Yeah, 50-ish or so. Don't do a sushi belt. Do bots and put in beacons so you can get, I think the number is, with speed modules and productivity in vanilla, it is 2245%. 2,245% speed bonus with 2 productivity 3 modules and then all the effect sources possible for getting a lab going maximum. Probably 50. How do I disable crafting? I'm going to go for lazy bastard, but the directions on Google's are years out of date. Rebind the craft key. Don't let you do it. Right mouse button is use right and left mouse button in your inventory to be able to click those, or and you got to rebind those. Or you can do some permissions and disable it, like this guy says. Yeah, good stuff. Rebind the craft key. Yep. Good luck, man. What is a baggins? Good luck. Lewis the cute one says, is there underground rail mod, or is there an underground rail mod, or do I just have to draw my rails around resources and be annoyed by it? Doing Ribbon World and would prefer my trains go straight to the bottom of the map. Is there an underground rail mod? Yes, but it's screwed up a long time ago. It's not fixed. So you could go fix it. Or do you have to draw my rails around and over resources and be annoyed by it? Yes, annoyance is required. You must be annoyed by it. Yep. Ribbon World brings out those needs for sure. Good luck with your Ribbon World. Mo Grigio picking up the game after a long time. Good. I played the initial alpha phase and didn't have a computer to play it on. So anyone tell me what the phases of the game are in general? Like I imagine electric is phase 1, automating plates is phase 2. First off is burner phase, getting to automated ore and smelting phase, and then belt spaghetti, bots, tear up your base, cry some more, starting area, losing all your resources, resource absence, biters attack, cry some more, restart your base. Cry some more.
Cry some more.
Any tips on how to become better in Factorio? Leave more space, just like he did. Or you can watch. Maybe one of your favorite streamers. Why Circa says, can we have access to the actual formula used for resource spawning? Nope. Mad Muffin asks, how can I keep my inserters from overfilling a centrifuge during Coverex? Filters, right? Filter the different kinds. Stack filters. Stack sizes. Filter and stack size and force it to stack size 1. I have 80 uranium sitting in one centrifuge waiting to be processed because inserters keep filling it up first, when 2 other centrifuges could be using that uranium. I don't know how to use logistic systems or drones tell anything to get exactly 40 uranium or more. Use circuits. Yeah, different inserters here. One for inserting uranium and the other one for removing it. Yeah, purple and filters, and not the gray filter stack inserters. Use the purple ones. Lots of wires and smarts. That's right. You could use Westdude, has a Coverex BP. There's lots of ways. Couple options. Or kind of manually prime the pump so you have enough of each of the 2 different types of uranium so it'll start on its own and it'll just run. Prime the pump. That's the way to do it. PaperCloud10 asks, is there a simple way to see how much time has elapsed since I start a game? Yes, console with tilde /TIME, and then it shows you in-game time. Had Ramal asks, nanobots, early construction drones, tiny start. What is your mod preference for early bots to speed up the initial phase? I think we did nanobots in our Bobs and Angels. Burrito Bob says, we're going to assume that's is. Is it possible to build a 100% efficient base? No. Pollution is always a thing, and it always uses more energy than you put in. But what is over 100 efficient base? I need some context here, because it could mean that if you crank your mining productivity up high enough, and I put down a miner, and the energy I use to put down into a miner, I'm gonna get so much more energy out of that in terms of material. Or if it's just energy efficiency, maybe the same thing for oil mining. I'm getting so much more energy out of it. A base with 0 building is 100% efficient, I guess, yeah. All right, thank you for being here. If you like this sort of video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Make sure you ring the bell so that you'll get notified whenever I post a video. If you have a question, you can leave it in the comment section below, or you can come by 5-6 days a week and ask me a question at twitch.tv/Clowntown, or you can be in the live audience for this. We do it every Friday night. New player, FFF, and This Week in Reddit. Or you can come by anytime. We do a lot of special projects. All the links for supporting me and all the links we discussed today are all in the description below. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.